thanks for joining me. I look forward to it and appreciate it. I'm Jason. I'm a senior editor and comics area manager at But Why Tho. Just to start, would you mind introducing yourself?
I'm Christopher Sebela. I'm a writer of comics.
I super enjoyed Self. It was quite, I think, a pretty cool comic, and I'm looking forward to more of it. Just to start simple, where did the idea for Self come from, and what influences or experiences helped shape it?
A lot of books, I know precisely where I get the idea. This one, I don't. I just remember writing down the phrase downloadable people. Yeah, I don't know. I just, it's not like the idea of like backing humans up onto a hard drive is 100% new, but I was thinking about that concept, and then I thought, well, what if somebody stole your file and then put it on BitTorrent? Like, what would happen if anybody had access to it? And it just seemed like a recipe for absolute chaos, which those stories really draw me in. So yeah, I just started chasing it, and then I figured out who our main character is and how it all works. And I don't know, this was just like one of those things that like I couldn't tell you why it was so compelling to me. It was just an idea I kept chasing, and then eventually it turned into a book.
How did that,
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get lucky where an idea strikes and you got to do it.
Yeah, I try not to argue. I just let it happen.
Not everything has to have some kind of deep inspiration. Sometimes it's just a cool idea, which I think this is. And in fact, and you said it yourself, there have certainly been stories about people who have been unknowingly cloned in their, in some way or another, and they're running into other versions of themselves. What sets your version of this story apart from other stories with similar premises?
The fact that it's me telling it, and it's Kara and Rebecca and Adidia telling it, like, it's just execution alone, it's going to be different. Dot Self is a lot more sort of casual, and I don't know, I've been calling it lo-fi sci-fi, like it's very intimate and personal. We're not so interested in the hard science of how it all works. It's more of a feelings-based sci-fi approach that we're doing. Yeah, I don't know. I tried to avoid going to see like Orphan Black or stuff along those lines. So I couldn't say precisely how we're different. I just think that us as a team, we naturally bring something different to the table. But I guess I kind of leave that up to the reader to decide.
You had mentioned that the tone you're trying to take is a little more levity, and waking up and finding out that you're in this absurd situation, and as Nat does, and like winds up in a fist fight with strangers over it. This could be something that gets displayed, and I think it comes off as this can be an absolutely terrifying experience. Mm-hmm. But you had mentioned, the levity that you want to imbue in this story. How do you balance that, the demonstrating of distress while offering that levity?
I think it's just like where a lot of my interests are drawn. Like, I can come up with some pretty grim, dark scenarios, but I don't want to spend months and months sort of wallowing in darkness. So just by my own personality, I want things to be a little bit fun. It's just my own personal sensibilities that, like, I don't want to subject readers to, like, just a lot of trauma and like, here's all the horrible things that could happen. Like, I want it to be slightly, that you can enjoy yourself while you're reading it. Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like more of a fun, casual jumping off point. Like, I definitely could have taken Dot Self in a lot of darker directions, but I think also the fact that we were working on this during the pandemic, like, things were pretty grim already.
There was a period I couldn't even like watch television because the anxiety of a plot unfolding was too great.
Sure, yeah.
Like, even if it was a comedy, like, just because something was going to happen next and I didn't know what it was, just like in real life. So It's too
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, different part of the comic. So I'm reading this comic, and something that I notice pretty astutely is there's a lot of friction between Nat and her husband, as opposed to having a relationship that's like they're a team and they're like gonna work through this thing together. Is there a particular reason why that dynamic is how you wanted to establish the first two characters that we really meet?
I think it's this idea that, people project this perfect life to the outside world and even to themselves. Everything's going great. Like I have A, B, and C. I have everything that I ever wanted. And nobody's life is, picture perfect. Like somewhere in the process, unless you're a very lucky person, like you're going to have these areas of your life that are suffering while others are on the upswing. And yeah, I don't know. I was just interested in this idea of like Nat spending her whole life trying to reach this sort of cozy ideal that she had set in her mind of like, here's how, here's what I need to be comfortable, to be, to live a life where I don't have to worry all the time. And she's got it. And it's not, it's not what she dreamed of. Like there's still problems. It felt natural to me. Like, sometimes you're in a relationship, you have periods where you don't get along for a while. Whatever in my brain runs towards stuff, that really appealed to it. So
Life's not perfect,
pops
so
up.
why should comics be?
That's pretty much, my
Yeah.
whole mission statement, I guess.
One of the main themes that seemed pretty apparent in this first issue was about trust. Can you trust yourself? Can you trust
Mm-hmm.
other people? What makes trust an interesting theme to explore? And how would you hope that readers come away from the series feeling about trust?
Again, it comes back to this idea of like, you think you've sort of reached this level where you know how the world works and you know how your life works, and like, you feel like you have a handle on everything, and that's the exact moment where the universe smacks you upside the head and is like, no, you don't run any of this. A lot of it is, tied into this idea of like, how reliable is your positive mental attitude, and how much of it is just like a front that you put up. The whole book is kind of touching on this notion of like, you sort of make an agreement with the world of like, I will do A, B, and C, and I will be rewarded in, E, F, and G manner of ways. And all the things that you work hard for can be taken away through no fault of your own. And like, how do you trust anything really, like when it's also capable of just like falling apart in your hands? And I mean, as far as like how readers, I try not to dictate what opinion readers come away with. I think as we get deeper into the book, it'll definitely open up more.
Would you say that trust is a valuable thing to have, or that it's overrated? based,
No, I mean, I think trust is a great thing to have, but it's also, it's a very delicate thing. Like, it's once you have it, like it's strong, but it's also, one little thing can just destroy this sort of powerhouse. No, I'm not advocating for like, don't trust anything. but more of a like, I trust this, but also, in the back of my mind, I know that there is a possibility that my trust will be squandered. I love to give my trust to something and have it rewarded, but I also realize that the world is a big machine and doesn't really care. However much I count on like these things, that like I have a place to live and I have this job and I have blah blah blah. Like none of that is set in stone, and all can be gone tomorrow through a couple of quick accidents. Yeah, I think a lot of the book is just playing with this idea of like how solid is your life really, like, and how quickly your happiness can be completely reversed through no fault of your own.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
like the word you used of the it's delicate. It is worth having, but cynicism is a real thing for a reason. We're cynical because we're aware that it's delicate, and
Yeah,
sometimes the awareness is a good protective measure. It keeps us from being harmed, and I can imagine that Nat kind of embodies some of that or grows into some of that over time with.
yeah. I mean, she's even at the beginning of the book, like, she spent her life sort of living and growing up poor and like moving around and like single parent and just wondering if like her life is ever going to reach this sort of golden ideal she sees in her head. And now it has. And even though she's reached it, like, there's still something lacking for her. So like, she's sort of given her all to this vision, and this dream, and it hasn't, she hasn't gotten all the rewards that she expected. Like, she sort of expected like, oh, cool, I get all this and then I'm set. And she realizes like, oh no, that's not the case at all.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to continuing to see where the story goes, seeing whether cynicism wins out over hope and trust, and any other things that you would like to say about the series.
Kara is somebody that I really wanted to work with for a long time, and this book gave me the opportunity to reach out to her. And a big reason I was excited about getting her on this book was like, I had no idea what the book would look like with her drawing it. So that was like a big, exciting thing for me to sort of walk into a book being like, I don't know what this is going to be when it wraps up. So it's rare that you sort of are kind of a spectator to your own work. But this was definitely the case of like, I was just like super giddy every time new pages would come in, because like, it was, it matched a lot of what I saw in my head, but also was 100% different at times. And I don't know, that's kind of the magic of comics. And I was super happy that it all clicked on this book of like, yeah, every time you get pages, you're sort of rediscovering your story through your collaborator's eyes. And this is a book that I didn't really know what it was about until I was about halfway through writing it. And then all the pieces sort of clicked into place, which is a pretty common writing thing for me. I rarely set out with like, these are my themes and this is what I have to do to achieve them and make them sing. This was like, well, this is a cool idea and there's some reason that my brain wants me to tell it. And so I'm just going to keep telling it until I finally decipher what that is. I don't know. It gives me a lot of comfort, like having this book as something that I did to sort of show this period of time and really sort of marks, I think, a lot of my feelings that I was feeling over the last year and a half or so. So I don't know. Hopefully people can relate on some level when they read it.
I've enjoyed it so far. I hope others will too.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what's to come. Are there any places online or out in the world that people can find you at that you'd like to let them know?
My Twitter is usually the best place to find me. I'm on there too much, so I'm at xtop on there. And then my website is christophersebela.com, which I haven't updated in months. So, but still vaguely useful. So yeah, those are the two places. If people want to come find me, they can find me.
Excellent. I know we've also been recommending Dirtbag Rapture to folks on our site recently. So our writer who reviewed it quite enjoyed it. Thanks for your time. Looking forward to